Gerrie's Doll's House. I think that the background of something which I built for my wife is worth explaining. Someone once joked, "Mrs. Geraldine Williams, you've got more letters after your name than there are in it." Actress, singer, dancer, comedienne, plus later also a lambda syllabus private drama teacher and examiner for several of the country's most prestigious colleges such as Guildhall, LCM, etc. Originally she was professionally known as Gerrie Raymond, which name she can be found in credits for many summer shows, panto plays and reviews, plus many editions of the Two Ronnies TV series. In later years this was changed to Leonie Wilde, at request of our then agent Vincent Shaw. Under that name she can be found as a principal in such national tours as Copacabana, Pirates of Penzance, Fiddler on the Roof, etc., and also various productions at the National Theatre and the Old Vic, where at the get-out of one production while she was staying on for the next, it was joked that, as this wasn't the first time, they might as well stick a permanent nameplate on her dressing room door. I've known many husbands who've gone green with envy when I've mentioned that my wife has virtually no interest in money, only actually earning it, and beyond essentials, she has virtually no interest in spending it. Unlike her husband, who is an inveterate collector of all sorts, she is able to appreciate and often admire things, but rarely has any desire to actually own them. Apart from stage costumes, minimal interest in clothes, shoes, ornaments, or things in general. Hates all forms of shopping, which one or two female friends have learnt to their cost on the rare occasions when they've managed to persuade her to accompany them in a hunt for clothing, and then witnessed her absolute boredom. And although we both eat a lot of healthy food, we have 2 fridge freezers in order that she can keep the supermarket visits down to an overpacked trolley once every 2 weeks, this being a chore which we share half each. Cars only interest her in their being safe and reliable, and jewellery means virtually nothing to her. She immediate answer to my spotting an attractive watch and offering to buy it for her is, "But I've got a watch." The fact that she actually has several is due to these being gifts. Her accounts are concerned. From time to time I update her on how much she's worth, but it never occurs to her to check this herself. As long as she knows that she's financially secure, in her late 70s she has far more important affairs to attend to, such as deep involvement in politics and genuine concern for the environment with membership of CPRE, etc. I've rambled on about this attitude simply to underline the fact that although she admires and appreciates all sorts of art, etc., and particularly miniaturization, she normally has no desire to actually own any of these things, apart from a small collection of books. Over the years, she had once or twice mentioned her sadness when in the early years of her career she was living in London, and she occasionally visited her parents in Northampton. And on one of these occasions she found that her mother had given her doll's house away. This was actually one of the very few artifacts to which she was ever really attached. Her mother didn't realize this and thought that now in her 20s she'd have grown out of this childhood toy. So, with all this in mind, I was really pleased when one day in 1995, rather out of the blue, she said that she'd really like another doll's house. So, after looking at 1 or 2 ready-made models which didn't particularly attract her, with my being what one might term a DIY nutter, we looked at a hobbies catalogue, and she liked one 2-story design, and this comes as a kit, which includes plans, a front door, set of windows, interior staircase treads, various design papers for exterior and interior decorating, plus hinges for building it in a form where the front swings open in 2 halves. I didn't like this design, so changed it to a full lift-off frontage. The frame, banisters, interior doors, etc. all have to be made, and one buys the wood, etc. separately. And I purchased this and made a start just before resuming a national tour with the smash hit musical Hot Shoe Shuffle, completing it during the run. Incidentally, I became so disgusted at the way the business had gone that I decided to retire at age 60, and this production spanned over 2 years of what became the final part of my career. I can honestly say that if there'd been many more managements like Michael Rose, that of this show, then I'd have had a very different opinion of our business. Both partners of Michael Rose Productions made it an extremely caring management, Michael himself being an absolute joy when often arriving on Monday get-ins, he'd have the company sitting in the stalls while he racontered with his wonderfully pro sense of humour resulting in one of the very few highly theatrical and extremely caring managements of the many for whom I've worked in over 40 years. So, to the amusement of our company manager, when seeing various bits of the partly assembled model in my various theatre dressing rooms around the country, and puzzled looks from passers-by in the street on hearing the sounds of sawing and hammering coming from my van when parked outside that week's digs, the first model was completed, much to my wife's delight, I'm happy to say. I'd altered some of the finishing, such as not being happy with the tiled design paper for the roof, so made this three-dimensional by cutting dozens of strips of fine card into slotted tile lengths and overlaying them, plus making the Victorian-style roof edging. I wired it for lighting, hiding the adapter in the lift-off roof and making lampshades, plus exasperated at the high cost of items such as stoves, bathroom fittings, etc., and fireplaces. I made all these myself. And the in-joke being that my idea was that this was the family home of a member of the aristocracy who, not that unusually, had married a theatrical lady. So, before I had the computer magic available that we have now, I took two of my wife's early professional pictures and reduced them at a copy shop down to the standard 1/12 size, where they could be hand-coloured and framed, then hung over the mantels in drawing room and dining room. I say that this was the first model, as when setting out to furnish it, we realized that it really required something with more space. The original design comprised the two upper stories of the present model, and we reckoned that it certainly needed a large upstairs-downstairs type kitchen, so eventually I designed the ground floor with the exterior reverse stairs entrance, the frontage. Reckoning that as the house actually backed onto a lake, and the owner didn't believe that all deliveries had to be around the back, he didn't want this aspect spoiling with a rear tradesman drive, so was happy to have this gated front entrance to the kitchen area with butler's pantry and laundry room. A very close and erudite friend, that should be erudite, he certainly was. He was a theatre lighting designer, and later lecturing at Loughborough University in stage management and lighting, and was also a cinema buildings historian of note. He'd gifted me with the mains adapter for the lighting, and he expostulated at first that he'd never seen anything resembling this ground floor frontage. I said that I didn't care, as we liked the way it looked, and could fantasize happily about the motivation, but he actually had to eat his words a little while later when coming across a couple of pictures of mansions with reversed exterior staircases. I like to think that somewhere there also may be one with a servants' and delivery entrance at the front. Who knows? It has been one of my greatest pleasures that I was able to supply the one item for which my darling wife ever expressed a keen desire, and which continues to please her. Usually just by its very existence, as she rarely has any free time to open the front and play with it. I'm afraid that, mainly due to politics and the drastically declining state of our nation, due to the disgustingly increasing Orwellian pressures of both our own state internally and that of the EU externally, we find that in our declining years we're unable to sit back in leisurely retirement and let it all just happen. And so there simply aren't enough hours in the day. Cry the beloved country has become one of my oft-repeated phrases in recent years, but that's another story. Hopefully this doll's house may live on after both ourselves and the wonderful country that we and our parents knew have long gone.